Hey guys, this is Nate over at BunnyGun Games, and today I want to talk about itch.io's Refinery service using Butler to upload builds from your local computer to your game on itch.io in a really fast and binary compare way. This is cool because the end result of this is that your end users that are playing your game can easily get an update for your game from your side without having to do anything. If they have the itch.io app, it'll automatically update for you. And then as a developer, it's a fast way to work. It's a fast way to upload. And using a binary compare, you're only uploading that little bit of data that changes as opposed to uploading the entire game every time. So I'll leave it to you to pick through itch.io Refinery. I'm kind of assuming you've used itch as a service before. Maybe you have a game on here already and you're just interested in kind of digging into some Refinery features. So this is the Refinery landing page essentially. We're going to take a look at this developer tools that work section and click on learn about Butler. And we're going to do this from scratch. I've uninstalled everything to redo it for you guys so we can step through it one piece at a time. So speaking of scratch, I need to create a game real quick so we can do an experiment here. So itch.io/game/new. I'm already logged into my account, so we're going to create a demo game for this. We're going to call it Butler Quest and save it as a draft. So there we go. This is our basic landing page. Now we have no builds uploaded to it currently. If you do have a build uploaded, that's fine. This is just going to create an additional build, but don't worry about that. So, okay, with our game in place, we're going back to Butler, and we're going to click on the install Butler. We'll walk right through the documentation. Now, I'm going to do this for Windows 10. If you have Linux or if you have Mac, this is actually a little easier, but we're going to do Windows today. So we'll click this to download Butler, and it downloads pretty quick. It's not a big program or anything, and it's downloading here to the desktop. And if you double click it, the first thing you'll notice is it's going to flash and go away. And that's because it's a command line utility. This is expected to be run from the command line. So if you just want to use it as it is, you can. So to do that, we're going to click on the start menu and go to the command prompt. Command prompt. And from here, I have to go to my desktop because that's where it's located. And then I could type in Butler. Now, if you see this message with the little, your happy little itch.io helper and then some commands, you know it's working properly. And you could just do that from here. You can skip the next section of what I'm going to talk about. But what I want to do is set up the environmental variable, or environment variable, to make it so I can type in Butler from anywhere. Because currently, if I'm in the same directory as the file in the command prompt, it works. But if I go to any other directory, which I do a lot, not going to work. So we're going to configure that now. Alrighty, so if you scroll down a little further, it's going to say, on Windows, follow this article. And this article breaks down how to set up an easy command line access, essentially. So the gist of it is essentially, step one is you have to go to View Advanced System Settings for Windows. So again, go into the Start menu, View Advanced System Settings. Click on that. If it doesn't pop up immediately, it's usually hiding behind a window for some reason. No idea why. But once you do find it, go down to the Environment Variables button at the bottom right-hand corner and click that. On this screen here, you're looking for the bottom set of instructions, System Variables. In the System Variables, you're looking for Path. There's only one, and when you find it, click Edit. Try not to get confused with the stuff above it, because there's a path above it too. It is tempting to click the first thing you see, but we really want this one in the System Variables section. If you click Edit, so what this is looking for, it says, where do you want Butler to live, essentially, is what you've got to specify first. So I'm just going to leave this open for a moment. Now, Butler is currently living on my desktop, and I want to give it a more permanent home. So I'm going to go to my C drive, and I'm going to navigate to the Program Files folder and create a folder for it. I'll call it Butler with capital B. And then I'm going to drag and drop this into the folder. And it says, are you sure? I'm sure. There you have it. Butler is now living in the program files. Now, we need to make note of the path at which this program lives, because we need that for our environment variable. And I find an easy way to do that is by right-clicking it, going to Properties, and doing some cutting and pasting. So we'll take the name of the file, I'm going to fire up my favorite text editor. You could use Notepad for this. You could use whatever you need. I'm going to use Sublime Text. You can see this from earlier, but we'll do it from scratch. So first we'll paste that. That's the name of the file. The other thing we need from that screen, and go back to it, is the full path down here. Excuse me, we just need the location. We don't actually need the file name. My mistake. We just need the path. Just like that. So we're going to take this path that we have and go back to our environment variables screen. We're going to hit new and then paste it right there. Hit OK, and then make sure you hit OK on this screen as well. Now, in order for this to stick and take effect, maybe you still have your command prompt open, you type in Butler and be like, it's not working. You have to shut down the command and then go right back into it again, and then it's going to work, as you can see here. Okay, so that's probably the hardest part of all this right there. So if you got this far, well done. Now the next step, we're going to close that out because we don't need it. We're going to go back to our documentation. We're going to close out this article because we've passed all that successfully. And now it goes on to talk about your first run. So this basically says, okay, type Butler-V, capital V, and it's going to show you the version. This just basically says, hey, it's working for you. That's cool. If you scroll down a little bit, it'll give you some more instructions, but essentially you're ready to go on to the next step. Now you can run an upgrade if you want. This isn't necessarily, you don't have to do this if you download it fresh. It's going to check. You've already got the bleeding edge version. You're good to go. So you can skip this step. Logging in and authentication is the next step. So it says in order to use Butler push, which is going to push your builds up to the web, first you have to Butler login. So going back to the command prompt again, adjust this. Hopefully we can see it clearly. Butler login. Okay, so it's going to send an authenticated link to you, which is right here. Now this is actually kind of tricky business too, because the command prompt's not that friendly about cutting and pasting. So if it's in the documentation as well, let's just highlight it real quick. Where is it? Let me find it just for reference. Copy. Oh, maybe not. All right, well, I'll just say it. If you hold down Alt and press spacebar, it's going to pop up this dialog. And then from here, go to Edit and go to Mark, or hit Control M to do it. And then once you're in Mark mode, you can left-click, drag, and highlight things like usual, and then press Enter. I know, it's ridiculous. But once you've done that, you'll have your nice URL that you can cut and paste into your browser. And you'll see this authorization message pop up, basically giving Butler permission to work its magic. So authorize the application. You'll see success here. And then if you see all this, you're good to go. You can close that out and go back to Butler. Okay, so back to the command, or back to the docs for a moment. We've just successfully done that. Go back to here. Scroll down a little bit. And it says, okay, now at this point, you can do Butler login. And you'll see you're already logged in. So you don't actually have to type in your username or password. It's pretty nice like that. All right, next thing. Let's go to pushing builds. All right, so how this works is the syntax right here. Butler push, then directory user / game : tag. All right, so basically there's a lot of cutting and pasting we're going to do to make this work right. It's not as bad as it sounds once you get it going, but you're going to end up with a string you want to keep. So let's break this down for a moment. You got this, we're going to copy that, and we're going to go back to our text editor. Got your text editor open still, right? So this is the syntax. So we're going to keep Butler. We're going to keep push. Now directory is the first thing to specify, and directory wants to know where your build is. So let's take a step back for a moment. We got to create a build for the game we just made. So I'm going to fire up Unity real quick, and we're going to create a build that we're going to upload for, I think I called it Butler Quest. So here we go, Unity, new. And now this is kind of, this is Unity specific stuff right here. Not a big deal if you're using a different method like Unreal Engine, for example. but you know, it's a means to an end in our example. So there's Butler Quest. We're going to create that. And what we're doing now is we're creating our build, essentially. So no matter how you get to this, it's fine. We're going to load the default layout. We're going to create a quick environments with a cube. That cube looks mighty fine. We'll go to game. Now you can see the cube is just sitting there in space. Now that's fine. So we're going to build Butler Quest. It's not really a Unity tutorial, but you know, go to build. Now we're going to make note of where it's going to build to. So for the case of our example, I'm going to go to the desktop and I'm going to create a new folder for this. We're going to call it Butler Quest. Yep. And then we'll give it the name Butler Quest. And build. And there it goes. So we've got a build created real quick. And from here, we're going to navigate to that folder. Conveniently, it pops up in Unity. So let's just run it just to make sure we've got what we think we've got. We'll play it. Made with Unity pops up. Now this is going to be important to note because we're going to see the difference in things in a moment. So there's our plain old cube for Butler Quest. Fantastic. We're going to upload that using the command line. So the first thing you want to do, at least the way I've done things that works well, is create a zip file containing your build. We're going to send to zip. I'm going to rename that just to make it a little bit nicer to butlerquest.zip. Now this is a file we're going to upload. So back to our instructions for a moment. We need to put together the string in order to upload. So we need the directory. Now this is similar to what we did before. We're going to right click it, go to properties. We're going to grab the path down here. Now I'm left click highlighting that and then I'm right clicking to copy it. I guess that was pretty evident. Paste it, and then we need the actual file name as well. Copy that. Now I'm using Control C to do that, but whatever works for you. Okay, so this creates essentially our path. I'm going to turn off word wrap just to make it a little bit more clear as to what's going on. So we've got Butler, push, and then this is the full path to the zip file we have in place there. So now the second part of this is a space, and then we need the user. And this is going to be the username for your itch.io account. In my case, it's BunnyGun. And then we're going to put a slash, and then game. Now the name of the game is found on the page for the game. In this case, we can see bunnygun.itch.io/butlerquest. So we need this last bit, the Butler Quest. Copy that. And we'll go back to our notepad. And we'll paste it. So there's Butler Quest. That takes care of the game part. Now we need the :channel part. Now what this means is when you upload a game to itch, it's going to, when you specify what tag it is, like let's say Windows for example, itch is going to be smart enough to look at what you've put there, like Win, and tag it for Windows. So if it's for Mac, you put something else there. And that's specified in the documentation down here. Right there. So in our case, we're going to use Win for Windows. And then that's about it for making our string. So now that we have all that, this is how we're going to push the build. Butler push path file account name, name of the game, and type of build. So we go back to our command prompts. And we'll cut and paste it. Now, again, you can right click it or hit Control V. Command will let you do that. Press enter. And what's going on now is it's going to take a minute to do your first build because everything's brand new at this point. This is a pretty tiny build, so it's not going to take us long to actually push this to the server. There it goes. Okay, so down at the bottom, when it works, it's going to give you a little message about added all the data, how much of it was fresh. It's almost all fresh in this case. Patched it, all that kind of good stuff. So it says build is processing. Now this is normally pretty quick. So if we go back to our Butler Quest page and reload it, you're going to see now we have a download button. And it says Butler-Quest-Win zip 11 megabytes with Windows. This is everything we want. Now, something to note here is that if you're doing this for an existing title and you already have a zip file up there perhaps, unless your naming convention is exactly the same, it's going to create a secondary file. I found it's good to get rid of the other ones and keep the one you just generated. Okay, so there it is. So that's good for us. We successfully made a build and pushed it up. Now let's look at it from the other side. Let's say your user wants to get this, or someone on your development team wants to get it and continue to get builds easily. So we're going to download the itch.io app, which is really handy. So in this case, you can go to the website. There's this icon here that says Get App. Click Download. It'll kind of detect your operating system, or click the appropriate one, whatever works for you. I've got it downloading. And it's just pretty fast server. We just downloaded 57 megabytes pretty quick, and my internet's not amazing here. Alright, so that's about ready. Click that. And run the installer. I recommend you get this for yourself too if you don't have it already. But definitely for anybody on your team or anybody you want to distribute this product to is kind of nice. There's my statistics and whatnot. So we're going to go to My Creations, and we're going to find Butler Quest. So I click on that. You can see there's good old Butler Quest. Not a whole lot going on with it yet, but we do have the install button now, and since it's for Windows, it's available to install for my operating system. So I'm going to click Install for Butler Quest. This is where the seamlessness comes in, and you know, shout out to Leaf and whoever worked on this. Great job. Now launch the title. What this does, as far as I know, is that zip file we uploaded, it's smart enough to go in and find the executable, launch that, and launch the game. Now, if your game has an installer, this won't work. I've tried this with installers, so use the zip. And now we'll launch the title. And the thing to note here is this is going to be our first update. We're going to update the game again. So there's our cube just sitting there doing its thing. So we're going to close that because that worked out real nice. We're going to go back to Unity now and update our game a little bit. So we're going to take one cube, turn it into 2 cubes. We're going to rotate it and scale it. So we can tell there's definitely a difference in our second build. Second build, 2 cubes. Alright, save it. I don't need to save it, probably just straight up build it. Save project, build settings. Looks good. And then we're going to save over our original Butler Quest. Alright, so you've just updated your game. You're ready to push it up to itch. Here's what you do. Get rid of the old zip file. Now the thing to note is you want your zip file to be the exact same name. So what I like to do is actually copy the name just to make sure there's no confusion. Right? So delete the old one. Now we're going to rezip our new stuff. It's got the name just the way we want it, so that's good. Now I hope you saved your notepad with this crazy string we put together because we're going to reuse it. So copy it. We're going to go back to the command prompt and paste it. Now there's the compare in action. It's saying, oh, well, not a whole lot to change. 99.98% of it was the exact same thing. Now here's the thing to note. Once we go back to My Creations, go back to Butler Quest here. Now sometimes you can actually see this thing update real quick. It flickers. I've tried to catch it. It's fast, but I don't exactly know how that works. But in this case, I'm going to explicitly check for an update by clicking on it and then clicking check for update. And it's going to say, oh, new version. And just like that in the background, it pulls it down. It installs it for you. And it says, are you ready? Launch it. Okay, so we should see 2 cubes now. And there they are, 2 cubes. We've updated our build to hopefully all of our adoring fans in a matter of, seconds. So really great workflow right there. Also helps with your team too. For example, if I want to push a build to anybody on my squad and it's in private, it's not a problem. So I hope this has been helpful to you. It's been really helpful to me to work in a much more efficient way than having to zip and upload entire builds at a time. This is really clean, really fast way to do it. And that's it, really. That's all there is to say about this. So just to recap real quick, we set up Butler, we set up the environment path, so you can type it in wherever you want. We configured a string for updating. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, of course, you can make an alias for this on the command line. But once you have that string, just hold on to that and save it. Then we exported a build. We zipped the build, and then we uploaded that zip using Butler, and that updated our build on the website. And then we were able to get the update with very little effort using the itch.io app. I just clicked update, and sometimes it updates automatically. It's pretty awesome. So hopefully that's very helpful to you. It was helpful to me, and this video is about done. So thanks for watching. Check us out, BunnyGun Games, and we'll see you next time.